Good morning, guys, or afternoon. Welcome to. I'm just gonna do a quick intro to the vlog right here, and then we'll talk a little bit, or a lot more later, probably. It's Wednesday. It's Impact Night. It's gonna be great. I've been looking forward to this night for quite a long time, so hopefully it's great, which it will be. Anyways, I was looking around. Y'all know I love megachurches, and I just read an article about the downsides of megachurches, and I'm happy that my church doesn't do any of those bad things. But yeah, so looking through, I don't know. I'm definitely pro megachurch, right? But it's interesting that there's a discussion, versus small churches versus megachurches. I don't know. I find that not interesting that it exists. Like, I understand why it's there. Like, yeah, I'm not trying to call out people who go to small, but it's just really interesting to look at the different arguments that there are. Being that, I've always thought it was so normal to go to a mega church because, I haven't really gone to another church, right? So, like, mega church or bust, I thought, all churches were, great. And then, like, as I go to other churches for, like, different events, like, we went to my grandparents' church a few times. I went to this church where, I don't actually know why I was there. I don't know. I went to another church once. I've been to a few other churches, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. This is super small. Where is everyone, So it's always kind of fascinating to me. But anyways, if you Google megachurch, the first picture that comes up is Joel Osteen's church, and I guess, it's in Houston. And it's the stadium. It's a full stadium with the stage in the back, and Joel Osteen, it's kind of funny. But anyways, Joel Osteen has a whole bunch of stuff around him. So, one of the big downsides of mega churches, or not downsides, but one of the big cons is that a lot of them are in false teaching. Like, I don't know, don't quote me on anything because I actually have not looked into the Joel Osteen thing myself. I don't know much about it. All I know is what I've been told by different people, and people are biased. So I'm biased because of what I've been told, but what I have been told is that Joel Osteen is one of those prosperity pastors, and I might be wrong on this, but he's one of those prosperity pastors that thinks the Bible is telling you to get rich, like, hey, God wants you to be rich and successful, and actually it's true, God does want you to be successful, but how does the Bible define success? Is that like getting a lot of money and getting a really nice house? Probably not. I think God's view of success is having a life that completely reflects Him and bringing as many other people as you can to Christ while growing yourself with Him. So God does want you to be successful, but He wants you to be successful in that matter. So, anyways, so one of the I think I concluded my thought there. The reason I was looking at this, though, is because I was looking at Willow Creek Church in Chicago-ish suburbs of Chicago. Heard about it somehow, and then I was like, okay, let's check it out, man. Looked at it already from Google Maps. I saw the layout of the church. I'm like, oh, sweet, this is going to be a lit church. And just the shape of it, it's like one huge building, and it looks like a mega church, so I was good. So that got me excited. And then I started looking at the photos. I'm like, holy! So first picture I see is the 360 of the sanctuary, which is flipping ridiculous. It's 3 stories and, nothing compared to the stadium in Houston. But, it's a really big church and has, like, 3 levels of seating and then just all the way coming down. Like, everything's at a visible angle. And the stage is just enormous. It's like, wow. This is a huge congregation. Then I started to look into it. They have an escalator in their lobby. Like, there's an escalator to help you get from one floor of the sanctuary to the next floor. Because, maybe you want to sit on the second floor of the sanctuary. So, sure, there we go. That got me thinking of church architecture, which isn't really something I can talk about here, but just like, I don't know. There's now 2 styles of mega churches in my mind. There's one with like a centralized, like this church that I just saw, one huge building where you got your children's rooms, you got your small group rooms, you got your secondary, slightly larger rooms for like mini sermons or conferences that you hold at the church. You have the main sanctuary, you have pastoral offices, student ministries offices, accounting, just tons and tons of offices for people that work there. You have closets and closets and closets for storage for everyone. You have a kitchen, stuff like that. And then there's the kind of, everything is at these, that's kind of everything in a megachurch. But you either A, have it all in one huge building, one really spread out building that's probably been added on to multiple times over. And then you have kind of what my church is doing. Like when I was thinking about, of course, you guys know me. Of course, I'm designing a mega church in my mind. I think of like my church has golf carts, I think only 2. Not for everyone to drive around in, but we have golf carts for the janitors to get around because it's a flippin' huge church. But our church is separate buildings. Some buildings are linked by bridges. Some are linked by, there's a patio in between them, where, you go out after the Sunday service and get coffee and donuts and, talk to everyone outside on the patio. And then there's building on each side. But, there's multiple buildings, and it's the kind of thing that you could get a golf cart and drive around the church, around the buildings and stuff. And so I was just, that's interesting so I'm going to spend a long time now thinking about different megachurch styles and like what's the idea. Of course, with me, I'm always like the vlog yesterday, I'm always coming up like seeing the different architecture and layouts, mainly for cities, but also for buildings and churches and schools and stuff, and analyzing it, saying, okay, what is the absolute ideal layout for one of these things? If you were, now of course, churches are at a disadvantage because you don't build a mega church and it's like, oh shoot, no one's coming. You start off with a small church and it grows, and then you have to expand and expand and expand, and then before you know, okay, now we have a mega church because we've been expanding so much because we have 3,000 members. But you start off as just like, hey, come to my church. I'm starting a church this weekend. Can you come? It starts off really small like that. So you can't have a golden layout unless, I was thinking about like, oh, we could redo our campus, right? And make it the ideal church layout. But then you run into the problem of, okay, now you have 3,000 people or something like that. 3,000 people that normally go to this church, but now the church is being destroyed and rebuilt. And now for the next years, where are these people going to go? The first option is, well, you're either going to hold it somewhere else or disperse. So number one, you could disperse among churches, but then you have the worry that 3 years from now, church reopens. Look, half the congregants have decided to stay at the church they went to because they got connected, they got into small groups, they liked the pastor, and boom, they're gone. Or they went to another mega church, it was lit, they knew people you lose people. And then the other option is you find another place, but pretty difficult to find another place where you can hold 3,000 people other than a church. So churches are at a disadvantage in that aspect. But it's fun to think about that. My ideal, not ideal, but just an idea that I had for a church a while ago was a big kind of square. I don't know, for some reason I really like the idea of the church being a really confusing layout. Now I know this is kind of bad because then you have newcomers who don't know where the hell they're going. It's like, oh, rip, dude. But just for fun, it's kind of, it's a great feeling to, be lost in a church. Like, this church is so big, like, man, we're getting lost in here, we don't know where we go, that kind of thing. So to have one big square or rectangular just area, that's where the church is, but then have really weird, oddly shaped buildings, like you have your buildings that are like an L shape or like a U shape, but it's all squared, or like a half circle dome with a thing on the side and a semi-triangle on the side coming out, which is actually still a triangle. And, all of a sudden you're getting lost, and then all the buildings are squiggling around, so you don't have one direct pathway going through in between buildings. You have the squiggling thing that's always forking and splitting and coming back together. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm lost. So yep, that was my idea, but I'm going to have to start to rethink it. But something to keep in mind when designing an ideal megachurch is taking in something that would be cool is thinking about things that you see in other places in life. Like, when I saw the escalator in Willow Creek, I was like, escalators are normally in malls, at least from my life experience, or airport. Well, I was thinking of malls. I'm like, okay, what else do we have in malls that we could put in a church? And, I'm thinking like, you have 3 stories and then kind of a walk down the middle, and my church has hallways. Hallways don't work as well. It'd be better to have, well, we have both, but hallways are crowded. People want to talk. Now you can't get through the hallway. It'd be better, I think, to have a wide, kind of pathway out in the open that people are going up and down. They're picking up their kids from the rooms, and then groups of people outside talking and stuff. That'd be fun. It's gonna be a long vlog. Wow. And then just stuff like that. Anyways, wow, my train of thought literally just died. I've seen other churches online that have like coffee shops in them, or cafes, or bookstores. Bookstores, really good idea, because otherwise it's kind of hard to find a Christian bookstore. And then a coffee shop, I think, is a really good idea. Look, you're making the church money, and then, it sounds greedy, but it's good for the church to make money, because it's going all to missions and stuff and spreading the gospel. So in that sense, I think the church making money, not making money because they're not keeping it, but getting as much money as they can to spread out and distribute to the gospel. I think that's a really important thing. So coffee shop making the money, and then you also have fellowship afterwards. After the service, everyone's like, you don't have to drive somewhere, have to worry about like fellowship, and that's, you can still have it, but it's nicer, like, hey, why don't we go over to the coffee shop, grab some coffee. Now, given you have to have quite a big mega church to do this, because for a coffee shop to stay in they're supported by the church, but for the coffee shop to stay in business, you're going to need quite a lot of people there to be able to keep it open, and in that sense, you're up for debate of like, is it only like this thing is going to open like after every service or like after events? Or is this the kind of thing that's going to be open, 7 days a week? It's going to get its most traffic on Sunday, but if you want to come in and just get coffee on your way to work on Monday, you can come get some, that's a toss-up. Kind of there. And then I was also thinking, you have a huge church, you could have a cafe, that'd be lit. I don't know, cafe, a basic-ish restaurant. Not a restaurant like a sit-down and get your order, but, you go order something and there's tables. Because, we always go out to dinner after church, and a lot of people go out to lunch. It'd be nice to, after church, you just walk over to the cafe, get a nice big table going, and then, boom, fellowship right there at the church. You don't have to go anywhere, sit in traffic or anything. That's always fun. Big mega churches should have parking lots. That's something you see a lot in reels. And that was supposed to be a joke, and then I took it seriously. Parking. That's always fun. What else? Fountains. Fountains are something you could see at a mall or something. And I'm not talking about general things. Just like small design aspects, small design things dropped in there that you'd see in normal places that would look great in a church, be cool in a mega church, like the escalator, like a fountain, like you have a big patio, and then there's a fountain. At Willow Creek, they have an indoor fountain pond waterfall machine thingy in the lobby, so that's cool. The lobby for Willow Creek just looks great in general, but things like that. What's another place you go to other than a mall? An airport. Well, I don't know about an airport. There's not many airport aspects that I would want, like TSA. We don't need TSA to get into church, right? What's another place that people go to? School? I don't know if we want to bring school on. I don't know. Maybe this isn't enough talking to, because we have to talk after Impact too. Y'all know we're coming back to talk after Impact. What's another place though that exists in the real world? Vaughn's, is that a thing? I don't think you want to know. I'm just trying to come up with aspects of that that might be cool. Airport. We already did airports. I don't know. Maybe there's nothing else in the real world left. It's just small ski resorts. What can you learn from ski resorts? Have multiple floors. That's very important in a mega church. You need to have multiple floors. Otherwise, it's just boring. Also, it takes up way too much space. You don't need... just let me speak to the mega churches. When you buy property, you need to be willing to allocate most of that land to parking spots, just concrete, because... parking is, so anyways, people founding mega churches. I explained 5 minutes ago that that's not a real thing. So you're definitely going to want, like, Willow Creek has 3 floors. I think 3 floors is great. I would love to have a, multi-floor. And then you have, like, kind of staggered, beautiful architecture. Oh, my goodness. You kind of have, like, staggered levels, and, like, there's a patio, and then maybe a, thing, and just beautiful, and it's great. What else? Playground. Playground's very necessary for a church. Churches need to have playgrounds. I think that's a very, very important thing. What's another thing? A library? What can we learn from a library? Nothing. Well, you can learn stuff if you read the books, but I'm talking about architecturally. What's an, I don't know. This vlog's over. I'll see you guys after Impact. Alright, so I'm home from Impact. Nothing dramatically overly exciting happened tonight. And since this vlog is already super long, I just decided, hey, why don't we end it here? So, I'm gonna cut the vlog here. It's already long enough. I think it was a pretty fun talk today. Hope you all enjoyed today's vlog. If you did, like it. If you didn't, dislike it.